Hey, thanks for joining me. I've been a big fan of Witchblade. I collected it way back in the mid 90s when it started, and I collected it forever, for years and years. Uh, Maybe almost right up until it ended, honestly. I'm not sure how far it went. I think I collected it into the 80s, something like that. And it had ups and downs. That's one difference. Like, I just got done talking about Spawn and how I collected this book into the 70s or 80s. But to me, it never got good. It just stayed consistently fucking boring, but I just kept collecting it out of habit. Witchblade started out good and, in my opinion, got really great. Mostly while Michael Turner was doing it. And then once he was gone, they brought in other artists that wasn't really a huge fan of. And the book was kind of okay, but I kept collecting it. But as it went on, they'd rotate out artists. And there were times when it got really good again. You know, like it kept it would go up and down. I got to give it that. As opposed to Spawn, that it just started out kind of high and just dropped down and just stayed down and never recovered. Witchblade had ups and downs. And then, of course, they cancel it after a while. And Silvestri, like, he's no dummy. He's a businessman. He's like, I got a couple of properties that people know and remember, and it's time to dig them up and kind of let's get these things back out into people's eyes again. So he's been putting out Witchblade and Darkness. I've reviewed the first issue of Darkness. But when I was out at a local comic shop, they had this awesome thing that they're doing where here's a reprint of a comic for literally only $1. I'm like, how can I pass this up? And I've been interested in kind of seeing what Witchblade looks like now, this modern reinterpretation of it. I was kind of like, it's going to be hard to win me over and have it be better than the original one. But we'll see, because I get it. You can't just rehash the same thing. Like, the concept has to be there. It has to be girl gets unknown, mysterious weapon that gives her almost godlike powers, that makes her undefeatable and unkillable. And then now she has to deal with it, try to control it while trying to live her life, be a cop, and have other villains tracking her down, trying to kill her, take her over, steal the weapon from her, etc., etc. You got to have that basic concept, but how you tell that story, there's where you get to have some creative, playground, right? But can you do better than the original? Having read this, I get why they did everything that they did. I'm interested. I don't know. I can't say yet that this issue 1 is better than the original one. The concept is all there, and it's an interesting way to kind of retell the story. It's just different enough to make it kind of be interesting, but it's similar enough that you recognize what it is. But is it better? I honestly would need to pick up a couple more issues and see where it goes, because I think of Witchblade like the first 8 issues, the first initial storyline is like one big movie, and I kind of lumped them all together into my head. And they did really well. I really liked it. This one, I've only got the first issue, and it's kind of fine. You kind of have my attention, but I'm not blown away, but it's fine. Written by Marguerite Bennett. I have no idea who that is. Line art by, I'm going to butcher the shit out of these names, Giuseppe Cafaro. Colors by Arif Prianto. Letters by Troy Petiri. I don't know who any of these folks are. It doesn't matter, I mean, I am kind of interested. Like, well, let's see what this Witchblade comic is about. I do have to say that I understand, but I'm also kind of, I guess, I don't know if I want to say the word disappointed, but I understand that they kind of avoid leaning into the kind of ridiculous sexuality of the art of the previous original series, specifically how Michael Turner drew it. They leaned into the fact that Turner drew hot girls in a very specific way. I felt like he could do it where it was kind of elegant and beautiful, but also, they had big boobs and lots of skin showing. And they kind of lean away from that very specifically. And I get it. That type of stuff, I feel like, always has its place out there. Like, everything doesn't have to be so deadly serious. But I don't know. Part of me's kind of like that. kind of hot, sexy looking girl element is one of kind of the defining design elements of the Witchblade as a comic. And it's not like the girl is unattractive, but the artist does not try it. He doesn't push it too far. He's keeping it quote unquote respectable. And that's respectable. I get it. But I kind of wish that they'd push into that a little bit better. That's what she said. But I guess I understand why they don't. Here's the thing. Ultimately, the comic is best if it survives on its story and concept. And it shouldn't have to have tits and ass to sell it. 100% agree. I would put that as priority number one. But isn't there a world where we could kind of do both? Anyway. The art's pretty good. I can't complain. I can't say I like it better than Michael Turner, though. It's different. And again, it needs to be. Very detailed shot of a city, cop badge, back alleys, gun with the police, ticker, whatever, the sticker things, for a crime scene. Obviously, crime scene happened. Somebody got shot. And there's a girl. We're just going to assume that's Sarah Pazzini. The text says, yeah, my name is Sarah Pazzini. In 1 hour, I'm going to die. So I kind of get from a narrative point what they're doing. They're showing a bunch of stuff, and we're introducing the whole concept of Sarah Pazzini in a very different light. She's a cop and just says, in 1 hour, I'm going to die. Then you flip it over and you get giant double page spread, and it says, in 59 minutes, my body will cease to be mine. I am going to become something new. And so there we are. They just jump right into it, showing you that there she is in the Witchblade armor. Again, taking a very different approach. And that original Witchblade thing, you didn't see the girl in the outfit. And it's not an outfit. It's a weapon that kind of crawls over her skin. And what it did is it would shred her clothes because it's a spiny, thorny, sharp thing. And it doesn't usually cover her clothes, it just covers her skin. So it rips her clothes apart, which then leads itself to the whole, that's why she's kind of showing a lot of skin and a lot of kind of the sexuality of it. It's kind of built into the design of the weapon anyway, just because it crawls over her and it wants to touch her skin, not her clothes. Actually, it kind of makes sense in its own way. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. But I kind of like it. But this one, it's very different. It's kind of like a suit of armor that covers her head to toe, thus eliminating the lots of bare skin and the hot, sexy body. But she's still got a hot, sexy female body. It's just different. Anyway, there she is. They're just jumping right into it. Boom, there she is. Anyone picking up the Witchblade probably already knows the story of the Witchblade, so it's not like it's going to be a surprise. So why not? Just jump into it. There she is, ripping apart, presumably a whole bunch of bad guys. And so the text was saying, I am going to become something new, remade by something very, very old. So now we cut across to the other side of the country. Berlin, Germany, 9 hours ago. Got some soldiers and a guy here. They refer to this guy as Mr. Kenneth Irons. So there's the main villain of the original story. Kenneth Irons was a big, hunky, muscular, super rich, super charming guy who ended up being the ultimate villain of the original story. Here he is in this book. They visually change him up. He's got a beard and longer hair. Whatever. So it looks like they're on some kind of archaeological dig. They're digging up something. There's a bunch of tractors and machines digging a hole. And it is, I was a little bit confused because they're outside. It says the dig site. And they're like, Kenneth Irons, I think we're close. And then, unless I'm misunderstanding, I am assuming that is Kenneth Irons. But then we get a guy, it looks like he's inside some kind of room with a bunch of computer monitors, but there's no computer monitors here. So I'm like, what? Who's this? Unless that's not him. And so it gets me thinking, there was a design element, a big secret that they kept in the original Witchblade storyline. They kept it a secret all the way up until the final issue of the original story arc, issue 8, I think it was, where Kenneth Irons, you never saw his right hand. Ever. But you didn't know that until the end when he was trying to take over the Witchblade weapon, and it showed that he had a stump at his wrist because he tried to wear it before, and any man that tries to wear the weapon, it rejects it by blowing your arm off. He had tried it and lived, but that wasn't revealed until like issue 8. And if you go back to all the other issues, there's not one panel where you ever see Kenneth Irons' right hand. It's always in a pocket. He's turned away. It's hidden from view. So they very intentionally kept that secret. And I thought it was pretty clever. You think you'd notice something like that, but you didn't, and it makes you go back and check. Now this guy, if this is him, he's got both his hands. But I'm like, is this misdirection here? This guy, but who's the guy watching monitors? I just assume this is Kenneth Irons. But anyway, they say, send in the sacrifice and prepare to follow where she leads. So there's a bunch of women on the monitors. So I'm like, all right, knowing the concept of the Witchblade, they're digging it up. They know what they're looking for. And they're like, send in the sacrifice. So it's a bunch of girls. So there's a girl. A guy got a rifle pointed at her. He's like, go on, girl. That's a good girl now. And so she's very scared. She walks up. She has a shovel. She's digging in the ground. And they're speaking German. I can't. I don't know how to read German. I mean, I can read the words, but I'll probably mispronounce it. Bitte? You know, she's digging. And she's kind of like, suddenly she's like, wait. She found something. And she's kind of excited. Something kind of gets her going. Like, oh, shit, this is cool. And then a little jewel-looking thing is sitting there in the ground. Now, if you remember reading the original Witchblade series, the weapon could compress itself down, mass shift, and it would just be a little clasp on Sarah Pizzini's wrist, like a bracelet or a watch. And that's kind of like what they're making it seem like. It's just a singular jewel. The original Witchblade had, I think, 3 jewels on the hand and then 1 across the back on her upper gauntlet on her arm, like 4 jewels or something like that, 2 or 3 or 4, something like that. This one, it looks like they're kind of making it out to be just a single one, and it sprouts a bunch of spindly little legs, kind of like a spider thing, just jumps right onto the girl, starts stabbing her into the face. She freaks out, and then it's shown that she's kind of under its control now. She's super strong. She could throw around these men with guns. And the guy, who, again, I'm presuming is Kenneth Irons, he's like, don't kill her. It will only find another. So they're like, we want this thing to jump on her to go to a girl. And they're like, we want to see. They say, follow her. She'll lead us to the true avatar. So I'm like, okay, this is the difference in the story where they found the weapon. And they kind of implied previously in the original series that only the one true person who's supposed to have the weapon can actually put it on. And if you're not the right person, man or woman, it'll kill you or blow your arm off. In this one, it'll jump on any woman and use them as a vessel to get to the right one. And that's a fair, interesting kind of concept. I'm like, okay, I get it. And these guys have figured that out. They're like, don't shoot her. It'll lead us to the true avatar. That's what we need. So like, she's stealing a car. Everyone get after her. So possessed girl jumps in a car, takes off. They need to follow her. I'm like, okay. They get to an airport. The girl's there. There's a bunch of German language being yelled. A cop opens fire. Boom, 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 boom. Shoots her. A female cop comes up, and then the weapon thing, the little jewel with little spindly spider legs, it's shown, it's just jumping onto this other cop now. This woman cop, boom, it's on her. Now she's possessed. Everyone's going to pay attention to the dead body, but possessed girl's now heading off to an airplane. But she's a cop, so she needs to pass it to a passenger. So she reaches out her hand, touches this girl. Now the weapon passes to her. Now she's possessed, and she's on an airplane. So we get this creepy close-up shot of her eye. It says Mr. Irons, either like, sir, what are we going to do? He's like, ready my plane. It's heading to New York. And in the baggage area, there she is, strung up with like the Witchblade spiny weapon thing spread out kind of like a spider web, holding her in place to get to New York to find the person who's supposed to have it. I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, and this is kind of a creepy shot. back in New York, lots of text. Now we get into kind of the mindset of Sarah Pizzini. She's a very agitated, very hard-boiled, tough girl. She talks like she's here because of her father. Her father was everything in her life. He was a good man. He tried to stop bad things from happening. He did the right thing for the right reasons. She, as a kid, she's like, I'm going to grow up and be just like him. There was nothing more important than that. But then years ago, her father's brothers in arms, fellow cops, her father was going to turn a lot of people in for being corrupt. And they didn't like that, so they shot him dead and killed him. And that pissed her off, so she ended up joining the military, but she didn't find peace or happiness there. So it's also establishing that she's been trained as a soldier to kind of make her a badass. So she's not just some girl that's kind of went through police training like the original Sarah Pizzini. And but this girl's actually been a soldier. She joined up at 18 and stayed there until she was 24. Then she joined the police force, and she thought that she's going to find her father's killers. She says, I'm going to catch them from the inside. And she says she's sitting next to the only two people who she can maybe trust, some girl named Nicole Berkshire. I don't know who that girl is. And this guy, Michael Yee. This is a dude who was in the original comic and died at the end of issue 1, and she felt very guilty about her partner dying. But they're taking her somewhere. They're getting there. They're dropping Sarah off. She's like, these scum-sucking human traffickers think they're buying a cop today. Let's find out what else they've bought before me. So she's going undercover. She's going to do some dark shit. Goes into this room. There's some scummy bad guys. And I like the designs on them. They're all very different designs, like different body language, facial hair, outfits. They look like different kind of dudes. There's a guy dragging away a potentially dead body in the background. And so this dude, some bad guy, and he's saying, my name is Vinter. I'm a dealer in specialties, wine in particular. Fine vintage, collectibles, tradable, enjoyable, kept in a cool, secure place, enjoyed until they are drunk up, used up, gone. Then a new harvest must be acquired. I asked for you because my source tells me you were SOG, S-O-G. She says Special Operations Group. Yes. And then it goes to show how it's a split image of her face, normal kind of civilian cop, Sarah, and then the other side, like her as a soldier. She says, yeah, Black Ops wing of the U.S. military, enlisted at 18, ran home at 24. The things I saw, Iran, Botswana. So again, explaining that she's seen some dark stuff to give her a hard edge, to make her tougher. I like it. So then this guy, this wine dealer guy, he's like, you can get me the vintage that I want, I think. So he's pointing a gun at her. I'm like, oh, is he going to shoot her? But then he flips the gun around and hands it to her. He says, but first, for safety's sake, I must ask for proof of quality. So they drag in this beat up dude. And it says, the wine dealer guy says, I would like you to dispose of this little smuggler whose cargo spoiled in a hot trunk on the journey. He says he abandoned it, let the federales find that we were running girls over the border. So he obviously deals in like human trafficking, just like she said. You can understand why she's here. So he gives her the gun and tells her to kill him as a proof of her like loyalty to like, if you're a cop, you will not execute an innocent man. If you're, if you got any problems with this, this is a test. But if you just put the gun to the guy's head and pull the trigger, we know that you're probably legit. That's the idea. Meanwhile, we cut back to the girl who's been possessed with the Witchblade weapon. She's landed. She's getting out of the plane. She's crossing a street. I guess that Kenneth Irons is already there. He made it already, and his driver of his limo car, I guess, hits her. I'm like, well, what the fuck was that? Cut back to Sarah. She's got the gun to the guy's head. And there's a bunch of text from her inner thoughts. She says, you are not your body. You have a body. You are a soul. I try to believe this as I look at this man who has killed so many. To others, your body is a commodity. They may imprison it, objectify it, dismember it, destroy it. And as all this is going on, the woman who is possessed by the weapon is knocked to the ground, and it gets passed to another girl and then to another girl, and she's taking off like this thing is trying to find its true host, and we know who that is. The text continues about how you don't have a body, you have a soul. It says your body is a tool, perhaps the greatest physical tool you will ever have, but it is not all you are. You are what you have thought with that body, felt with that body, done with that body, that tool that does and does not define you. This man has destroyed souls and left only bodies behind. Shall I show him what it's like to lose your own body? So through all of this, we got Sarah with the gun to the guy's head, and he's begging for his life. The possessed girl, meanwhile, is getting away, and Iron says it knows that we're chasing her. It knows that we're a threat, so it's trying to get away from them, and it transfers onto a motorcycle. There's, of course, a woman riding a motorcycle. So now they're on a bike, taking off, going somewhere. Cutting back to Sarah Pazzini, she actually pulls the trigger. Click. It's implying she was going to shoot the guy. But there's no live ammo in the gun. The thing that's interesting is that unless you modify the gun to not have a firing pin, a revolver, you'd be able to tell if there were fucking bullets in it. I own one. You could tell if it's loaded or not easily at a glance. Whatever. Pretty good shot with the gun coming down pointing. She pulls the trigger and it says all things to consider the next time when the gun is loaded. So I guess it's implying that she knew that it wasn't loaded. Okay, good for you. Guy who was going to get shot is like, oh my God, this is just a test, boss. You're the best. You've forgiven me, right? And then it has bad guy, wine dealer, pointing a gun at Sarah. I'm like, okay, what's that all about? But then right at that exact moment, Witchblade weapon possessor, girl on motorcycle, crashes through the upper levels, smashes glass. The weapon spirals out, cutting the guy's head off. And then it jumps onto Sarah. Obviously, we knew this is where this was going. This is how these things go. The Witchblade weapon is supposed to be with Sarah Pazzini. And it's like it knew it wanted to go to her. Jumps on her. Her eyes immediately erupt in energy. She says, holy shit. She's just standing there. All the bad guys are pointing guns at her. Everyone's a little bit shocked at what the hell's going on. Then we get giant double page spread. We got to flip it over. Again, pretty good shot. The weapon covers her. Again, it's like armor covering everything on her. It's not ripping her clothes off, which, again, I get. I get why they do it. I just kind of want different things in life. In the text, it's her inner thought. She says, at first, I think I'm drunk, or that spindly spider, whatever the fuck thing, just shot me up with something. But, oh, the warmth, the languor, the desire. Every action seems within my grasp. I can feel cells. It says, every idea seems like a good idea. Every action seems within my grasp. I can feel cells multiplying inside of me. I can feel muscles bulging, fat blossoming, my bones stretching, strengthening, hardening like oak trees. So I appreciate the text explaining how she feels, how her body's changing, and how it's affecting her mentally, which was kind of built into the original Witchblade comics. Sarah Pazzini would talk about how the weapon is nudging her and suggesting things to her and giving her ideas to kind of be violent, and she had to fight against that. It's kind of getting into the same thing there. I kind of dig it. So then, as we saw in the original opening double splash page, she starts ripping all these guys apart. Her inner text says, my heart beats, thunder sounds, when thoughts fire, every nerve is made of lightning. What have I become? So she keeps ripping all these people apart. The weapon's firing off of her, just taking down the bad guys. And one of the random bad guys, he gets a shot off. He gets a single, and it's kind of interesting. A single bullet, bam. One single shot. Pow. Hits her right in the chest. Blood spurts out, and she drops to the ground. Now it's like she gets affected by a single bullet. She falls, and then the weapon pulls the bullet out of her, and Sarah is able to grab it with her own fingers, and she's sitting there holding the bullet in her hand. And I'm like, well, where'd the guy go that shot her? It doesn't show anything. It's just like he shot her, and then he's gone. Now, I guess if you drop her, now's the time to run, I would guess. They don't show it. They don't explain it. He's just not there anymore. But logically, my ass would be out of there. But she's sitting there. I kind of dig the shot. The weapon is retracting inside of her, and she says, "What the fuck?" She's sitting there holding the bullet that shot her in the chest. Um, let's see. Yeah, she's saying she's checking out the girl who was on the bike that had the weapon originally. She says the cyclist is unconscious, but yeah, basically okay. We're going to need backup ambulances. It's okay. So she goes down into a lower part of the room and finds some girls that have been part of human trafficking. That's something that, she's was there to do in the first place anyway. Her weapon is, she's sitting there in silhouette. The weapon's glowing. Sarah saying, "You're free." Back outside, the cops have shown up. Ambulances have shown up. I'm actually thinking that the girl who was on the bike, who was possessed of the Witchblade for a minute, they're putting her in an ambulance. Like, they're specifically going out of the way to show that she's still alive. But she was possessed by the weapon for a second. I bet that comes back into play in the future. I don't know that for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. But Sarah's outside, and the cop buddies are like, "Dude, you should go to the hospital." She's like, "It's a miracle I didn't break my bones, but hey, Sarah, are you okay?" She's like, "I'm fine. I just need to go home." As we get this low angle looking up on the edge of the building, we zoom in on a dude, and it says Irons. This is Nottingham. I know who has the Witchblade. And of course, if you know the original storyline, the relationship between Ian Nottingham and Sarah Pazzini Witchblade, pretty critical to the story. Kind of a... he's a bad guy, but of course there's like a mutual attraction because he's such a badass. But there's Nottingham. There he is. To be continued. And it gets into explaining who the creative teams are. The gal, she's drawn. She's written a bunch of comics for DC and a bunch of stuff. So she's got quite the resume of work that she's done. And then it talks about the artist, the colorist, the letterer. Like, there's a creative team. There's words from Mark Silvestri just talking about, hey, Witchblade was awesome, blew onto the scene years ago. Everyone loved it. It was great. But now it's like, we're going to bring her back. We got to do something different. We found a great writer. We found a great art team. Here you go. And of course, they throw out respect to Michael Turner, for his original version of it. And then you get some sketches. I really dig these character design elements from Silvestri to kind of define what this new version of the Witchblade could or should look like. It looks like this is maybe the closest-ish version, except the center design pieces with the jewels. It's always fun to see Silvestri sketches, especially when they're hot girls. And then we get into some art from the artist of the book, just working out designs, what the character's going to look like as a cop and in the Witchblade, different versions of just some of the human characters. There's Nottingham, showing him, look like he's got a Witchblade weapon on his own arm. I wonder if that's a spoiler. And then they show how the artist goes from initial sketch into finished black and white art and then colored and lettered, just to see the process to, beginning to end. That's all fun. There again are more design elements for that splash page when she's got the weapon, and then the final version they chose, and then the full color version. Oh, looks good. And then covers, black and white and color. You got a J. Scott Campbell one. That's fun. That's fun that they brought him on board with that. Bill Sienkiewicz. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm looking at it. It looks very digital. Is Sienkiewicz moved into the digital realm? It doesn't. I mean, I could be wrong, but part of this stuff through here looks like digital art and layers and painting and color effects. I can't tell for sure because I know he would paint stuff. This kind of could be, I don't know. I'm honestly not 100% certain, but I'm kind of guessing he's moved into the digital world a little bit. I don't know. And then, of course, another Silvestri Witchblade drawing in the back looks awesome. And then, hey, buy Top Cow shit because it's all awesome. There's more issues of the darkness and blah, 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 blah. So I got to say, I was surprised. It was not bad. I still have my youthful nostalgia for the original run. But that's a lot of issues and living a lot of years with the original story as compared to reading one issue of a revamping of it. But I do want to see more. I think it's on issue 20 something at this point. It's been out for 2 years, I think. Something like that. So I might have to track down more of it. I am kind of interested, honestly. But Not bad. Yeah, pretty good, actually. I'm not blown away, but I like the alteration of the story enough that keeps me interested. So I don't know. Maybe I'll pick up more. So I'd love to hear what you think. That's all I've got for this one. As always, thank you for watching my channel. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.